to the NoStoppingKev podcast. I've been away for quite some time, but I have never been happier to be back behind the microphone than I am right now. I was away this summer. Well, I wasn't really away this summer. I had a lot going on, y'all. I got married, did a lot of fun stuff, moved, but here I am, Dad, my co-host, my trusted partner. How's it feel to be back?
It felt great.
That's it? I feel the enthusiasm.
Oh, no, it felt great to be back.
Oh, yeah, we got the new and improved NoStoppingKev podcast. And I say that because we got a new member of the team, and that is Mrs. Devin Beeford, EP, behind the scenes. So, she's here. She ain't going to say nothing, though, but shout out to Dev. But let's get right into it, Dad, man. NBA season is back. Super glad we're recording today because we just got some breaking news that's kind of shaking up the league a bit. And it's another shout out to Dev. Her work is already showing. She was like, "Yeah, you need to record on this day because if something breaks, your episode won't." See, this is why she on the team because I can't come up with that. First I want to kick this off. That we had the opportunity to see some teams this year. We had a little sneak peek being that the season started about 2 weeks ago. What are your teams to watch this year?
What is my teams to watch?
Yeah, I can tell you mine.
Who are your team?
I'll start with the Eastern Conference. So in the East, I've been focusing a lot on the Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers. So here's why. You have your teams like Milwaukee. They're going to be right there. They pretty much got their same team back. They're going to be strong. Definitely an Eastern Conference contender. You also have teams like Toronto, Miami. Boston has already looked strong this year, judging by their opening night. They was a team that I kind of had on watch just because you didn't know how things were going to play out with the situation with their coach. But I've been locked in on the Nets and Sixers, and the reason being, I'll start with the Sixers. Last year, they kind of got off to a great start, right, when you had the addition of James Harden. But, they didn't go as far as they probably should have, or many would have liked. So this year I've been trying to see, are they going to find a balance between Harden being productive and Embiid being productive? And currently they're struggling for a number of reasons, but I've liked what Tobias has done. I like what Maxi's been doing. It's about those other new additions finding their roles. But I'm definitely watching the Sixers because I'm a little biased. I want my Sixers in the finals, as I'm sure you do. But it's just a team where there's been a lot of question marks, like will the Harden and Embiid experiment work? So that's why they've kind of been on our microscope for me.
Well, my thing, I'm hoping the Sixers, can gel and, it's just that they bring in new people to the team. Tobias is starting off better than he played last year. He's starting off pretty good. You got Harden is playing kind of consistent, but I don't think Embiid is playing up to Embiid stature yet.
Yeah, he's not. And so, in addition to finding that balance, you have to have a team where all your guys are functioning. And to your point, Embiid hasn't been the Embiid that was an MVP candidate the last 2 seasons. Come to find out, Embiid was dealing with a bit of a foot issue this offseason, took 2 months off. And that explains why, if you're watching the early games this season, he's looked a bit out of shape, which was strange because you expected him to pick up where he's left off. So that's another thing I'm going to be monitoring over the next, couple of weeks with Joel and the Sixers is how does his conditioning and play improve? But one thing that I've told a lot of people last year was saying Harden was cooked. You might have been one of them.
I didn't say he was cooked.
What you say then?
I didn't say he was
You
cooked.
said he didn't look good. You was very negative about James last year.
I wasn't saying that he was done. I mean, I think that he's having a pretty good season right now.
No, we going back to what y'all was saying last year because there was a lot of people. You representing the whole group of people that I had to go back and forth with last year on James Harden. You said he wasn't cooked. What was he?
I'm saying he wasn't producing. I mean, his stats of last year, and I wish I had them up right now. Well, no, let's not. See, when you talk about stats, sometimes you talk about We got to talk about the playoff game when he was scoring 2 and 4 points in the fourth quarter. So I mean, like superstars got to come through. That's the time that they got to come through.
Dad, you always point to 12 minutes of a game and blame it on one guy when there was a lot of issues. So here's my thing with the Sixers and James Harden. It comes down to this, and this is what I said to everybody that was worried about James Harden's production last season. Everyone was like, James Harden's cooked. I asked everybody, I said, what's the difference between the Sixers team and the team in Houston when James Harden was an MVP? Do you remember what the difference was that I said?
I'm still going back. Go ahead and make your point. Make your point. Because I think your pencil ain't sharpened, but go ahead and make your point.
My pencil's very sharp.
Okay.
Pause.
Okay.
But so here we go. The difference between the Sixers and the Houston Rockets that Harden won the finals or, was won the MVP with was spacing, right? You looked at the Sixers team last year. We didn't really have shooters around Harden to go along with him not being in the best shape body-wise. And also you had to take into consideration James Harden was rehabbing an injury last off season. So he didn't get to put in the work to prepare for the season as he would have liked or as he's accustomed to doing. But the biggest thing was spacing. So in Houston, they had a bunch of shooters surrounding James Harden. In Philly, we had guys that couldn't hit shots around him. You had guys like Thibault on the perimeter. I can't even remember who else we were running with this guy last year. George Niang. We had a bunch of guys that were not reliable from outside. Fast forward to this year, you got guys that are known shot makers. Therefore, the floor is more spread. You got PJ Tucker, a guy who hasn't quite hit his stride just yet. But he had a great night last night. You got another guy in Melton who's capable of hitting some shots and also playing some defense. He's athletic as well. You have Maxey who's improving his jump shot. It seems like game by game, almost even pulling up Steph Curry range sometimes on that left wing. So I think the spacing is a lot better. So that ultimately helps James Harden be a more effective scorer this year with the Sixers.
I think he's I got to go back to last season and what I was talking about. In the fourth quarter is important.
It is important.
And down the stretch, you need people that can give you buckets.
It's hard when you're getting triple teamed. That somebody else got to come through if you're getting triple teamed. My man was averaging 18.6 per game in the playoffs. To go along with 9 assists. What you really want from a...
when you know what, the day and time when you talk assist to me, assist isn't an assist really like it was back then. Assist is so much easier.
That's off the point, man.
No, it's not off the point because you thinking because a person because a person got 8 assists today. Assist is a lot easier to get today.
I'll give you that. They are.
Okay,
but he still has 9.
Okay.
He still did a lot for that team, and it doesn't change the fact that he didn't have help last year. He didn't have guys around him to help him out. So this year, once Embiid gets back to Embiid form, Sixers are going to be great, I hope, or else Doc Rivers need to go. But moving on to the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, he just jumped right off of that.
Yeah, I had to for time, man.
Go ahead.
Producers telling me, they're in my ear telling me we got to move on.
Okay.
So, Brooklyn Nets, another team I've been watching closely. You know why?
Why?
Ben Simmons, baby. I gotta see what's going on there. It's been driving me nuts because I've been super worried. Coming into the season, I was super worried. You know what my biggest fear was?
What?
I was afraid Ben Simmons was going to go to the Brooklyn Nets and suddenly, magically, start hitting jump shots. Biggest fear, because all we ever said here was, if that dude just start even hitting a little mid-range, the world is in trouble. Fast forward to this year, you see that clip of their, preseason practice, the outdoor one, and he airballs at, 15-footer. I was like, we good, nothing to worry about. Felt super excited. Not that he can't shoot, but just because I don't have to worry about him being a factor. Because a lot of people have been saying that Ben Simmons doesn't need to shoot in Brooklyn. I think you might have been one of those people that said that too, Dad.
No, I never said that.
You didn't say that?
I never said he didn't need to shoot.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Oh, all right. Well, what did you say?
I didn't say anything, but I want to ask you a question. Do you think Ben Simmons is overrated?
Dude, at this point in time,
Do you? Yes.
I don't think. I mean, I think right now we know what he is. So, like, as a guy who's been playing pretty poorly, I think he's only averaging single-digit points. He's still getting you about 8 or 9 rebounds and assists per game. I think that's pretty mediocre given a guy who had such high potential entering the league. I think even if you look back to his best years in Philadelphia, I don't think Ben was ever overrated because he always was missing the jump shot from his game. That was kind of like, okay, there's some potential there. I think he got a lot of attention. You know, he's a guy that is a multiple-time All-Star. But you know, outside of that, no, I wouldn't say Ben Simmons is overrated or has ever been overrated.
Well, I don't agree with you.
Oh, tell me more.
I just don't. You know what? I think he always, or people always pumped him up. But I think, you know what? They put him in a Magic Johnson category. They put him in like LeBron James. He shows nothing like that.
You gotta. That's hindsight talking.
That's
Look at him feeling his. Deb, you see this? You see that little smile he had? But that's hindsight being 2020, Dad. When Ben Simmons entered the league, you're looking at a 6'10" point guard, point forward. Who were other great point forwards? Magic Johnson, LeBron James. You got a guy that's bigger. I won't say Ben is more athletic than LeBron, but the thing that was always looming over Ben Simmons' head was, will he develop a jump shot? This guy is three-time NBA All-Star, one-time All-NBA guy, two-time defensive first teamer. This guy can play, right? But what kept him from being dominant is his inability to shoot the basketball, which was strange to me. You know, recently Ben Simmons kind of compared himself to Giannis in saying that, you know, he was talking about how everyone blows up everything about him shooting the ball, right? And for Ben, you know, I thought it was a little bit off base for him to even pit his situation in the same category as Giannis because they both started out on similar levels, right? Super athletic, can kind of handle the ball, get to the basket, super great in transition, right? But what's the difference between the two? One decided to take chances and shoot the basketball, even when he was airballing threes, bricking jump shots, you know, teams counting down at the free throw line, him bricking free throws, and the other did the complete opposite. Avoided taking shots, avoided driving to the basketball because he was afraid to go to the free throw line. So you have two different, it's like what they say, a tale of two cities.
But you know,
that's not right.
See, one thing is, I don't even know why you mentioning Giannis.
Well, I'm saying
I don't even know why y'all mentioned him and Ben in the same category.
Who is y'all? Ben did that.
You just know, yeah. Ben did do it on the show today, and I think he was just where I thought he was saying was how Giannis. I have trouble pronouncing his name. But how he is like a superstar. How, you know what, he put pressure on people. With what he do, Ben put pressure on nobody. Ben, you know what, Ben.
Today, yes, that's the case.
Huh?
Today, that's the case.
You think he did that with the Sixers?
Years ago, he did.
What pressure he put?
Because when Ben would penetrate and actually dish out the shooters and wasn't afraid to go to the free throw line, and he would actually look to drive the basketball, that put a lot of pressure on defenses when that dude, because either he's passing out to a wide open shooter or he's getting dunks. Today, he's not even driving the basketball. I watched him last week against the Milwaukee Bucks. They had Bobby Portis guarding him like he was Rajon Rondo back in 2010, just parked at the free throw line. Ben wanted no parts. Ben even made a clutch steal late in the game, started driving the basketball, and then stopped at the three-point line because he was afraid to go to the basket because he didn't want to get fouled. Luckily, he had a trailing Durant who did what? Take the ball and went and dunked it. So, you know, that's a big reason why I was focusing on the Nets, is because I wanted to see how things shook out with Ben Simmons. I also wanted to see if KD and Kyrie could produce this year, because there was a lot of drama in the offseason on whether or not they would even be back. There was drama surrounding the coach and Steve Nash, which I'm going to get into next. But there was a lot of question marks with would that team be able to pull together with the pieces that they had and actually put together a successful product out on the floor. And now today I'm sitting in the office at work and I hear that the Brooklyn Nets fired Steve Nash. Somebody was like, oh, I didn't, I think it's too soon. I said, no, it's a little bit too late. But the crazy thing was last night when I was prepping for this episode, and you can see in my notes that I wrote, will Steve Nash remain the coach? Because my theory last night was if Brooklyn continues to be mediocre over the next, I was saying week, maybe two, I said they're going to fire Nash. Because last night I looked at the standings in the Eastern Conference, and in 12th place in the East were the Brooklyn Nets at 2-5. There's no way you should have two of the greatest players on the planet and be 2-5. And given all the drama with Steve Nash, I'm like, they gonna cut him loose. And sure enough, today they cut him loose. What were your thoughts on Nash getting chopped?
Well, you know what? For real, Nash was done last year. Then when KD came out and wanted to say that, but I think the whole thing was not to let KD look like that he got him fired. But I think that he was done. I think he was done last year. And I think especially when KD came up this year and was saying that. But, you just can't really let players dictate that. So that's why I don't think that he got there. But that 2-5 record today, that really was it.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a lot of controversy surrounding Steve Nash from the beginning, right?
Right.
Because everyone raised the point that you probably can't find a time in history where a black coach was given the keys to such a contender of that magnitude. You even look around the league, and I look at so many former black players that are on coaching staffs, and they're not even first row assistants. They're second row assistants. These are guys that have won championships in the greatest league in the world. Looking at the Nets, I was sitting in the office talking to some guys that I work with about this today, and I was like, all right, if you're Brooklyn, Jacques Vaughn, who did a tremendous job a few years ago when another coach left. They fired another coach. I can't remember who it was, but he stepped in and stepped up. And he had, on that team, it was like Karis LeVert, Jared Allen. I can't even remember who else was there, but those guys made a run even in the playoffs. They got in, feel like they were a first-round exit, but they made it exciting, right? They didn't just roll over not having the coach they started with there. So I was like, all right, maybe Jacques Vaughn gets a shot. But I was like, wait a minute. What if they go after former assistant Ime Udoka? Because the Boston Celtics have said that if someone offers Ime a job, they'll let him take it. Sure enough, what was the next thing that came across my phone moments later? Brooklyn Nets plan on signing Ime Udoka. So how crazy is that? A guy who took the Boston Celtics to the championship in his first season goes to Brooklyn. Imagine what he's going to do with that team. The Celtics were a team that were on the brink of making it to the finals for years under Brad Stevens, and Ime worked his magic. You think Ime going to work his magic in Brooklyn?
Do you think he's going to go to Brooklyn?
Why wouldn't he?
I don't think Boston going to let him go.
Boston already said if he gets an offer somewhere, they let him go.
Well, I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
How long ago? They got him? Yeah.
I would love to see it.
If Brooklyn does, in fact, make Ime an offer, I think he's there.
You know what?
By as early as next week. Now, here's the thing I'm worried about, though, if I'm Brooklyn. I'm worried about Boston leaking the rest of the details from the incident. Because, there's been a lot of like, oh, it's worse than we initially thought. But the specifics never were leaked, right? So I'm thinking Boston may even say, yeah, you can go over there. And then a week later, you hear some more details just to be another distraction for Brooklyn. Because let's face it, Brooklyn's competing with Boston to get to the finals.
That's why I don't think they're going to really let him go to Boston. I really don't think.
You mean go to Brooklyn?
Go to Brooklyn. I don't think Boston are really going to let him go.
What do they care if he goes there?
You know what? Let me ask you
They
this.
obviously don't want him. They don't want him on the sideline.
Let me ask you this: Why didn't they fire him then?
That's some HR because I don't think you can't. I mean,
If it's worse than what it was, why don't you fire the man?
I mean, I don't know all the details.
Because otherwise, you can really control where he go now too.
I think he'll take it. They'll let him take another job elsewhere. They've already said it.
Okay, but I don't think they're gonna let him go to Brooklyn.
I don't think they can control that necessarily.
He's still under them. Just because somebody make an offer, he's still under contract with them. All right, he's still under contract with them.
He is.
So therefore, they still don't have to let him go.
I think they will. I think it's.
I don't think they will.
It will be a thing about it. That's them going back on their word. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think he ends up in Brooklyn.
Okay, I don't think so. I don't think so.
What are you thinking about in the West? Who are your teams to watch in the West?
Well, I mean, I am surprised with Portland right now. Portland, I'm surprised with.
Why?
Because they what are they now?
They're
5-1.
So why does that surprise you?
Because Dame is coming back killing.
Oh yeah, he's always been a killer.
Yeah, but I mean, coming back missing as much he is, coming back as soon as he is, and picking up right where he kind of left off at.
Anybody else in the West you've
Well, you know what? I'm surprised about some of the powerhouses who we picked to be like Golden State 3-4, the Clippers 3-4. I'm surprised about them.
It's still early.
We know it's early. But one thing I say, I mean, they probably will come on, but like Utah has always been a pretty good team out west too, till what they get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and they got a completely different roster this year, pretty much.
Right.
But my teams coming into the season that I said I'm gonna watch out for were Lakers and Clippers, the Battle of LA, for two reasons, or multiple reasons, but the main ones had to do with could LA bounce back. There was a lot of disappointment last season, and so when you look at can they actually make a run? Are they actually a contender? Because they have a lot of star talent there. As Anthony Davis said, he plans on playing all 82 games this year. He hasn't. I don't think so. I got him on my fantasy team. I'm pretty sure he missed the other night, so I'm upset. But you got the other things surrounding Westbrook shooting. I saw a stat the other day that said this Lakers shooting is worse than I think the 2014-2015 Sixers, and that team was built to tank, right? So there's a lot of question marks on can LA actually be a contender despite having the greatest player to ever play the game of basketball in LeBron James with Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook by his side.
I know that you were saying that being sarcastic, but
no,
it's okay.
I'm dead.
It's okay.
The GOAT.
He's not the GOAT, and I'm never gonna say he's the GOAT.
Oh, you're right, Dad. He's not the GOAT. He's not the GOAT. He's the GOAT of GOATs. No,
but you know what? They said Michael Jordan never lost a playoff series with another All-Star on his team. How many series did LeBron lose? The GOAT, your GOAT, lose with another All-Star on his team?
It's easy to that stat can be so misleading because you can have a guy that's like voted. Like, think about it. You have role players that get voted by coaches that make the All-Star team. Like, I don't like stats like that.
Anthony Davis
sucks.
But he won a championship.
With LeBron.
Right. He won one.
Anthony Davis is nothing without LeBron James. And a lot of people, Anthony Davis.
Well,
Anthony Davis
I'm not gonna say LeBron is nothing without Anthony Davis. But
you damn sure can't say that.
But he didn't win the championship without Anthony Davis.
He's won others without Anthony Davis.
But who did he have when he won others?
Sure, he had guys like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, but LeBron did the damn thing in the finals. Even when that man lost, that man averaging damn near triple-double. When did Mike ever do that?
Mike won six consecutive championships.
He did not win 6 consecutive championships.
He won 2 repeats.
2 three-peats.
Okay.
LeBron has been to the finals how many times?
How many? Getting there and winning. How many did he win? I mean, let me see. Oh, he won a back-to-back. Did he win back-to-back in Miami?
Yes, they went back-to-back in Miami.
That's it, right?
He has 4 rings.
Okay.
For about a decade, you had to go through a LeBron James team to make the finals.
You know what you had to go through a week behind East Coast? A week behind East Coast? Do you really think if that Cleveland team without West, they would have been that good?
We can always play, let's flip-flop divisions, this and that. You can always flip-flop stuff like that.
The Bulls went through tougher ways than Cleveland had to go through and go to championship.
That's subjective.
You know what? Back then it was tougher. It actually was really kind of tougher. Team, you know another thing that you got to look at.
Maybe it wasn't as tough for LeBron,
but
because LeBron was just that guy. He's him.
Well, we're not going to take that, but we're going to say, like, you know what? Expansion wasn't like back then, and you know what? You had more players on one team. You had more. You had players on. You know what?
It wasn't that many less teams when Mike was playing. Mike basically playing in the modern day NBA.
No.
Yes.
No.
But here's another question for you. What do you think about Russell Westbrook on the Lakers? Before you ask me this, should the Lakers trade Russell Westbrook?
I think Russell Westbrook need a fresh start somewhere. I really think he do. I think LA and the way they are right now, like I don't even think the fans in LA back Russ anymore.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the media. You think about it. Russ killed last night, and you barely see or hear anything about it. I think the real issue with the team last year in LA was Anthony Davis not being available. You look at Westbrook. You look at Westbrook, and Westbrook's at his best from what? I've said this plenty of times. Put some shooters around him and a guy that's going to screen and roll to the basket. You got a formula for success. Brian ain't really want to do that. You can't really they just kind of have Russ kind of parked out there. The system didn't make sense. AD wasn't available. So spacing's bad. Like, sure, Westbrook will brick some shots, right? Who doesn't? They've even showed clips this year when the whole team bricking. You got Westbrook shoot a brick, AD shoot a brick, LeBron ear ball, but nobody look at all the great stuff that Russ brings to the floor when he's, saving possessions, getting 2 and 3 offensive rebounds in a possession to give the Lakers additional chances. But to your point, I think the Lakers do trade Russ. I think they need to do something to bring in some shooters. I don't think they trade Anthony Davis just because Anthony Davis and LeBron are a better fit than a Russ and a LeBron duo. So I think they, look to move Russ, preferably before the All-Star break if they can, and try to bring in some guys that can help them better space the floor.
See, excuse me, my thing with LA is and Westbrook is, the question is, can LeBron and Westbrook really play together? Do LeBron take away from there? See, you gotta remember, LeBron isn't the LeBron of him in his earlier career. LeBron looks to put more points up now. He don't look to get. I know that you're gonna say that, but you know what?
You think I'm gonna say what?
Like, you know what? LeBron looks for other players and get other players really in the game. LeBron doesn't do that like a lot. LeBron looks to score. I'm not saying LeBron don't do it, but you know what? Sometimes you gotta really, you might have really needed to get Westbrook in the flow. Westbrook ain't got a real good jump shot. Like sometimes players can, and I want to go back. That's why, I don't know how good Brooklyn gonna be because you been there. You got Durant gonna have to have the ball in his hands at times. You got Kyrie gonna want to have the ball. It ain't like Ben was playing with Philadelphia, like when you said he had people that would run the spots and shoot. that he had a chance to get the ball to. Now, he don't really have the ball like that to get them because Kyrie is not going to really do so much spotting up and all like that and play off the ball like that. He's still going to have a little Kyrie show. Kevin Durant still, but all of them can. But like I'm just saying, to me, but see, you know what? The record shows. The record shows right now. Some kind of way. Now, you know what? Steve Nash taking the blame for that.
Yo, why are we talking about Brooklyn, man?
Okay, I'm going back to LA now.
Ooh, I just got lost.
I'm going back. I was just saying. I was just trying to put a scenario.
Hey, Siri, help me find his point.
You know what? You might not see it, but you may see it a little bit there. Just like, you know what? Westbrook is the scapegoat for the Lakers.
Yeah, he is. And it's unfair. Because my man hasn't been playing that bad. Poorly. Shooting has been down, but I attribute it to a system that doesn't allow him to consistently get great shots. You said LeBron isn't...
LeBron is the
Let
system.
me finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
You're right.
LeBron is the system.
LeBron is the system, but you said earlier that LeBron doesn't look to get guys involved. I don't think that's true. I think the Lakers just struggle to manufacture buckets so much that he takes over. So I don't think he's a different guy. He's not the LeBron of old. I think the situation in LA has forced him to play a little bit differently. But we got to move ahead a little bit for time. I'll just say this, keep it short. The reason I was looking at the Clippers was because Kawhi was coming back. They got a pretty deep team, so I think they can make a run. And so we'll see what they're able to come up with. But I was looking at some teams that I think are some sleepers. You got any sleeper teams that you like? Yo, ain't nobody thinking about them. But well, yeah, they might can actually be there in the end, or at least win a playoff series. I'll say that. So for me, I'm looking at if they stay healthy. The Pelicans are pretty good, man. They got a veteran leader in C.J. McCollum. Zion's a matchup problem. They got Brandon Ingram that's playing well. They got Valanciunas that's killing. So I think that the Pelicans can be really good. The other team I'm looking at as a sleeper is the Mavs. They're a sleeper, but not really. The Mavs are underrated, I would say, and they've always been since Luka has gotten there. Luka doesn't get the respect he deserves, even though he's always kind of in the MVP conversation. The Mavs' biggest hole last year was their defense, and they've kind of worked to fill in that by adding a rim protector in Christian Wood, as well as JaVale McGee. So they're going to have a little bit of rim protection out there on the floor so that when Luka's getting cooked on defense, he got somebody behind him that can challenge some shots at the rim. But those are my two sleeper teams. You got any sleepers?
You know, like I would go with the Mavericks. Like I said, it's early right now, and it's gonna take some teams to develop, you know, some chemistry. Just like I'm hoping the Sixers can build some chemistry with all the new additions that they brought. Mm-hmm. And like I think that, you know, you sometimes gotta come together and gel together. You know, and like you said, it's early in the year. Like you say, the Clippers have a lot. But you know what? You got to put it out on the floor. You can't just go by paper.
Now it's time for, I got to come up with a better name for this, but every episode I'm going to highlight something from the women's basketball world. And it's time for that now, because you know that I'm the WNBA guy, so get at me. But on this episode, I just wanted to take a moment to highlight the Athletes Unlimited Women's Basketball League. I had a lot going on this past year for obvious reasons, but I really wanted to kind of follow this league a little more closely. So I'm going to follow them this year. I think their league starts, I don't have it up in front of me, but their league starts in the springtime. I'll be sure to, you know, find get the dates for y'all when it comes out. But the Athletes Unlimited League, they got a women's basketball league that actually features a decent amount of WNBA players, which is cool because it's like bonus WNBA ball from outside of the 3 months of the year that we actually get to see WNBA basketball. So it's a 5-week season. There's 14 captains. Captains draft their teams each week, so it's kind of fun. It's like rotational pickup kind of. There's no coaches. Players kind of control everything. Each team plays 3 games per week. The point system is based on performance, so the top 4 players with the most points at the end of each week become captains. And the player with the most overall points at the end of the season is crowned champion. So it's a really cool concept. Definitely different from what we're accustomed to in traditional leagues. So if you want to just see some great competitive women's basketball like I do, check out the Athletes Unlimited Women's Basketball League, which I believe kicks off in, I want to say I said spring. I think it's like February. But yeah, I'll get you guys some more information on that. This year it's being hosted in Dallas, which is, Kev always talks about going down to Texas. Everybody got a reason to go to Texas. It's from February 22nd